So in this video we are going to be continuing to take a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. We are now on episode 68 of the series, and in the last episode we saw a few pretty big events take place. We saw a couple invasions, mostly focusing over here in America with the NAFB, and we also saw a union over here in Iberia. But if you guys do end up enjoying this episode, please do be sure to like and subscribe. We are trying to get to 2.5k by this summer, so all the support is really greatly appreciated, and without further ado, let's get straight into the video. So the first thing I want to talk about is over here to our ideologies layer, and that is actually because there is a new ideology we need to talk about, and that is one that has probably existed. Well, I'm going to say it has existed. However, it's not one that I've talked about, and it's something that I probably should have because I feel like it existing definitely makes sense, and that is actually socialism. Now, as of right now, there are 5 socialist countries, 2 in the Americas, 1 in Africa, 1 in Europe, and 1 in Asia. Basically, some of these countries were formed as socialist ones, and I kind of never talked about it. So when Wales formed, it was formed as socialist. That's kind of another reason that it broke away. When the Orange African countries, Patagonia and Dakota got independence, they were released as socialist countries, and Sakhalin became a socialist country when they got rid of their dictatorship government. So that is just something I do want to talk about there really quickly, and I feel like that's something that probably should have already happened. But yeah, I'm only kind of adding it in now, so yeah. But now, moving on to our first actual map event of this episode, we need to move over here to Siberia, and that is because we're going to be seeing a war taking place. Because, if you guys remember, these two guys used to be the same part of one country. There was an original light green Siberian country here, and these guys both broke away from it. This is not that same country. And in the kind of rebellion, this was an authoritarian group led by someone who had power in this southern major city, and this was a kind of ethno-state country formed. Basically, this is the remnants of the Hokkaidan peoples that used to live up here when Hokkaido originally colonized this region. And, well, let's just say, these guys, they want to go past the boundary of just being in their kind of ethnic region, as they will be launching an invasion into the light green Siberian country. Now, these guys, their main motive for doing this is the fact that they're kind of struggling at the moment. Other than the Kamchatka regions, they really don't have any valuable land. Of course, this area up here, there's literally nothing except for oil, which is probably what's funding this war. But yeah, they want some more land and they want some more population, and they see a couple of these major cities, more specifically these two right here, as a good way to do this. Now, I just do want to mention, in a regular war, as much as these guys do probably have some oil, they would not be able to do this. At most, they would probably be able to push in a little bit and then get stalemated, possibly pushed back. The reason that they are doing so well is they're actually being funded by a foreign power, and that foreign power is actually Hokkaido. These two have some really good relations, mostly because they're ruled by the same people. These guys, kind of breaking away from Siberia during the war, it was funded by Tokyo. However, they kind of didn't really like Tokyo. The only reason they ever had some relations with them is because a lot of people in Tokyo were the ethnic Hokkaidan peoples, of course, up here in Hokkaido, and then partially down in the northern region of kind of the southern bit of Tokyo. But yeah, Hokkaido has some good relations with these guys, and they fund their war efforts, and their main goal, if we take a look at the provinces layer, their main goal is to take this province and kind of, I guess, this province over here as well. They just want to get some of these city areas. So they continue to move in, and they are able to capture all of the coastal regions, although I'm sure this isn't much of a coast because it's probably all frozen. But they are able to take this, and this city encirclement over here finally comes under the control of the Purple Country, and after this, they offer up a surrender over to these guys, and kind of not seeing any other choice, these guys are going to be reluctantly agreeing to the Purple Country's terms, and we can go ahead and take a look at this peace treaty. So in this peace treaty here, it's actually a little bit smaller than the Purple Country hoped. Essentially, the CN kind of got involved in this, which is something these guys didn't really want, and they were like, yo, this city is not, ethnic, your people. This is kind of a whole different thing going down over here. But yeah, these people, they're kind of different, and also, we want to ensure that the Siberian country has at least some ocean access down here. Now, I don't know if at all this part would be frozen at any time during the year, but, this definitely is. So they're just allowed to maintain this. They state it's fair because, this isn't your people, so you don't really have a claim over this land, so we're not going to give you like a ridiculous amount. That's basically the solution came to there. But yeah, that's what we're going to go and see in this peace treaty here. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at our alliances layers, because some things are going to be happening here. First of all, looking at our economical alliances layer, something that happened in the last episode is going to be expanding today. It's going to be expanded on, and that is the growth of the Egyptian Economical Alliance, as there are going to be a couple more countries joining it now. First of all, we have the two kind of Central African countries joining. These guys are members of the Our Alliance. They are close allies of Egypt. They fought with them in the Anarchist War, and they're also kind of struggling in their economy, so they see doing this as a pretty good way to hopefully fix this. We also have Pakistan joining. This was also an interest of them joining the Our Alliance, was to hopefully join in on Egypt's economical alliance. They are really struggling at the moment. They are a fairly poor country. They don't have that much valuable land. I think they have like a slight part of the Indus River. I'm just going to check. Yeah, they do up here, so probably most of their population will be over here, so not really anything valuable going on. So they see joining this as a good idea. Just like that, we see 3 new countries go ahead and join in. And this is starting to get a little worrying for China, as Pakistan is a country that they might have had some interest in adding to their economical alliance. And as we can see, Egypt is kind of branching theirs out to be over here in Asia, and China is starting to feel a little bit threatened by this. So, yeah, China is going to be a little concerned, and we'll have to see if they do anything to retaliate, but we won't be focusing on that now. And then next up, with military alliances, we have another country joining the Our Alliance, and it's kind of an interesting dynamic to see here that the Our Alliance, despite the fact that, World War III is over, and they have secured themselves as the dominant pact, they are still expanding. I guess they did lose some influence down here, but yeah, they are still definitely growing. And with this new country joining, we have the Our Alliance becoming stronger than they have ever been, as we have Morocco going ahead and joining with the Our Alliance. Morocco, as we know, is a pretty close ally of Egypt, and they also have that kind of economical collaboration, and it's now official that the integration of the Cross Alliance into the 3-Point Star Alliance has officially begun, and the members are given a choice. You can either just leave, we're not forcing you into this, or you can join. So, but if you want to stay with us, you have to join the 3-Point Star Alliance. And this will not be coming into fruition now, this will be something we will be focusing on a little bit later, but yeah, that is just a bit of an event over there. Next up, we need to actually stay in Africa, because the purple country is going to be doing something quite interesting, and that is they are actually going to be moving their capital city. They're going to be moving it down to this city right over here, and there are a couple reasons for this, and there's also a reason why the capital was originally up here. So when the English colonized parts of Africa, they set up these kind of forts or battle areas, or this kind of like protected regions, and that is where they would rule their individual colonies, and that is where the capitals of every single one of the former British colony countries are today. That is why the purple team's capital is up here, or was rather. However, in the 21st century, we are having population booms take place in the lower region, as this is kind of the only like proper habitable land of this country. And the capital being up here, it's kind of like a far reach away, and it's definitely not a good situation. So they go ahead and move their kind of governmental stuff down over here, and yeah, they hope this will sort their issues out, because as we can see, they are a dark red stability. Not dark red, sorry, just red. Another issue that this country is having, they do not want to integrate with the 3-Point Star Alliance, so they kind of take the jump here, and they are going to go ahead and leave the Cross Alliance, and this isn't very good. Now, the government of the Purple Country hopes that they can sort this out, like, okay, we don't really agree with Egypt's kind of ideals, so we can't really stay in this alliance anymore, so we're going to come up with our own sort of thing. We still have Morocco's currency, so what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and improve on that currency, and we're going to hope we are able to kind of maintain our stability by using that sort of strong currency. Okay, never mind. So, yeah, the purple team's going to go into a civil war. We have a huge portion of rebel groups breaking out in the north, and these are people who are not happy with the purple team's current government. These guys are more so people that kind of want to stick with the old ways. We did okay kind of sticking with Morocco, so now we should stick with Egypt. But, you leaving that economical alliance was not the right play. Even with us in the economical alliance, we were already struggling, and that's another reason why our stability was so low. So I think the only way for us to survive is if we go to Egypt's economical alliance. So yeah, we're breaking away and we're taking you over. So we have this group go ahead and kind of take control over all of the northern regions, and the Purple Team original government is pushed down into the Sahel. Now, unfortunately for the Purple Team, they just left the Moroccan Common Currency Alliance, so they are under absolutely no obligation to come in and help them, so they are going to very much struggle here. We have their second most populated major city come under siege by the rebels down here, and the Purple Team begins to get a little bit squished in on. We have these forces over here going ahead and kind of moving down, and they begin to get very close to the capital, and we have a lot of people, especially in these southern regions, kind of sympathizing with this group. They understand that the current government handling is not working well. Not only did you just leave that alliance, which was kind of, like I just said, the only thing keeping us afloat, even with that help, you're still kind of struggling, and that's also, once again, and I'll keep repeating myself, but that's also shown by the red stability. So, yeah, we support these guys because if you're not going to do anything right, then we may as well just move to a different group. So yeah, we side with them. And that's really bad because now even the populated regions of this country are breaking away. And eventually we have this entire state be cut in two. We have the governor of this city decide to sign a treaty with the blue group. Essentially, we're part of you now. And this movement over here is going to fall. And finally, the remainder of this area is squished in on, and eventually it's all pushed back down to the capital. And after a quite long battle that actually lasts over 2 months, we have the capital going ahead and surrendering. And just like that, we can go ahead and take a look at this peace treaty. So in this peace treaty here, not too much happens. However, the kind of government over here is actually replaced, as we actually have an authoritarian group coming into power. These guys remain absolute control over this country, and they begin the process of attempting to join in on Egypt's economical alliance, as they feel it's something that they very much need. Next up, we will be actually looking once again at our stability layer. First of all, to say that the stability of this country, the new government kind of does a bit of a better job, and it goes down just a little bit. However, moving over to the Americas, we have another American country going into red stability. Of course, the last one that didn't end well for them. But the country we see going into red stability is going to be the Carolina country. These guys, let's just say they did not do a very good job of setting themselves up after World War III. These guys were released out of World War III. They were kind of just spat out of Florida without much care. And it's there's a lot of diversity in this country. In terms of ethnicity, it's very ethnically diverse between there are three major ethnic groups that live in this country: ethnic English people, ethnic Pyrenees people, and ethnic French people. The French people are kind of a more minor group. Also, in terms of ideology, this country is very diverse. There is a very left-leaning region in the kind of coastal areas over here. However, in the center, there are a lot of radical fascist groups, especially in the areas near Louisiana, which that's probably telling you something there. And then in the south, there are some kind of more centrist groups. But yeah, Carolina is really having some struggles at the moment, and we'll have to see what this leads to in the future. But anyway, moving away from Carolina, we need to move back over to Asia, and it's here where we're going to be seeing our final event of this video. And well, it's kind of just a few events combined together, and it's a pretty big thing. So first of all, continuing on with the Gujarat War over here, we have more and more Indian supplies going ahead and flowing into this country. However, as the war continues, something pretty shocking is revealed, and it's actually revealed through kind of the troops being killed and Gujarat kind of investigating that there is Chinese equipment on the front lines over here, and the Indian stuff that India is giving over to the Purple Team is actually Chinese equipment, and all of a sudden, this war has become a lot more of a tension raiser, as Egypt is like, yo, you are literally directly funding someone who our ally is fighting, please explain yourself. China's like, yeah, we have permission to fund whichever country we want, this is out of your jurisdiction. They shouldn't even be invading this country anyway, this is a sovereign nation. All we are trying to do is uphold the values of the CN. Egypt is going to accuse China of trying to meddle in their influence, which is rich coming from Egypt, because that's that's literally what they're doing. But yeah, but we have a huge diplomatic fallout happening, tensions between China and Egypt raise, and we have a lot of diplomacy be cut between China and Egypt, and eventually it reaches a boiling point where we have the Egyptians going ahead and sanctioning the Chinese economical alliance, and that also comes along with the whole Cross Alliance, the whole 3-Point Star Alliance, and in terms of military alliances, the whole Arrow Alliance, and this causes a huge hit to the Chinese economy, and China is absolutely furious about this, and yeah, they are very unhappy. So what we see happening is we have more and more Chinese equipment because of this begin to flow into the Purple Country, and this causes a huge breaking point in the front lines. We have the Gujrats begin to get absolutely blasted, and a portion of the former Purple Team's capital is liberated. This also causes the Gujrats to kind of speed up their ethnic cleansing process, or their kind of forced religious changing, and they're not genociding anyone here. And it's at this point where the entirety of the Gujarati population, or the entirety of the Gujarati country, the majority of every single area is now Gujarati ethnicity. Of course, there are still other peoples living here, but these guys are the majority now. There's also this over here, but that's kind of its own thing. But a little bit more than that, as the Gujrats are not only going to be doing it to their own country, but they also start to do something very concerning, as we have the Gujarati ethnicity/ethnic cleansing process now be moved into the Purple Country, and they claim that they are doing this because this is their rightful land, they used to have this land, and they see the Indian people living here as foreign invaders, and this has just turned this conflict up another notch, as now they are directly going into another country and forcing an ethnic cleansing process, and the Council of Nations at this point is starting to get very concerned about this issue. Furthermore, we have another country deciding to act on this, and that is going to be the Blue Omanese country, and they kind of see the Gujrats doing this, and they're like, yo, that's a fantastic idea. So they go over to the Indian ethnicity/the Indian peoples living in their country and say, yo, you're foreign invaders, you don't belong here, this is our rightful land, either you get out or you go to prison. And yeah, this is going to cause another huge crisis, as we have the Indian people living here who have lived here for generations. They see this as their home. They are forcefully kicked out of the Arabian Peninsula, and this continues to raise tensions, and the Indians begin to get absolutely furious about this, and they go over to China and they're like, yo, this is ridiculous, can you do something? And yeah, China's very mad about this current situation here. But yeah, the Indian peoples are definitely getting slapped around here now, which is a very bad situation for them. But I'll be putting that on hold for now, as we need to take a look at one final event for this video, and it's going to be all to do with China, once again staying with China. And that is because a new country has just levied sanctions on China, and they aren't so doing this because they're like close with Egypt, they're also doing this because they just don't like China, and the country doing so is going to be Korea. And I'm not going to lie, this is kind of the breaking point, as with the lease coming to an end, we're in February 2014 now, we've just crossed into 2014. The lease of Korea continuing to have this land only has a few months left. It will end in summer 2014. With these sanctions being led into place, China sees this as an absolute insult, and with tensions already being high between Korea, we have China declaring war on Korea and launching an invasion into the port city, and they begin to move their navy out towards the Korean peninsula. But that is going to be it for this episode. We will be focusing on that war in the next episode. I really hope you guys did enjoy this episode. If you did, please do be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.